What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Tribe of Runners podcast. I'm your host, Liz Myers, and today I'm actually going to talk about two topics and dive into planning your race and life update on what's been going on with me. If you have been paying attention to social media, I have been a little MIA, and I will go into details on all things happening. But first, I figured for anyone that has actually came to listen and or watch this episode that I would go over planning for your race for each and every year and how to do it, the best ways to do it, what I recommend, what I do, and then I'll go into the nitty-gritty on what is going on in life. So thank you, as always, for listening to this episode and listening to all the episodes. If you enjoy watching them, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, please do not forget to give a review, to share and follow the podcast, because as always, I cannot do any of this stuff without you. And thank you all for all the love and support. So let's get into this episode on all things about planning your year of racing and a little bit update on my life and what's going on. So if you are planning or trying to plan a year, which it is already September, it is almost October, and before you know it, it's going to be 2026, and you'll have a full new year to plan your race calendar and all the craziness within. So one of the biggest things that I always try to recommend for people to do is something I think that a lot of people may do, but like in the back of their mind, and put this crap on paper. And that is to write out all of the races that you want to do, not next year, but like in the future, like an end all be all list that you just keep adding these races to, and then you keep checking them off as you're going year to year, month to month, however it looks. But I will be 100% honest, I have a list of so many races, and some of them are like maybe not a priority, something I'm just like, maybe one day I'm going to do this, maybe one day I'm going to really want to do this, and one of those, I'll give a perfect example, is Badwater. I've been out there, I've done it, crewing in the aspect, crewing pacing, love it, had so much fun. As of right now, it's not like something I want to do right this second. Mind you, I do not have all the credentials to be able to do it, but it's not something that I'm like, I have to do this. I think it'd be really cool one day, not right now though. So it's on a list and I have it and it's written, and there's a whole bunch of other races on there. But one thing I think a lot of people always forget to do, and then like 5 months go down the road and they're like, oh my gosh, that's right, I wanted to sign up for this race, is make a spreadsheet or write it down on a piece of paper and have all of the races that you potentially want to do. And if you're like me, a crazy person in that aspect, one thing to do is to plan it out per month. So knowing that like Badwater is this month and the Keys is this month and Tampa Bay is this month, and just knowing that like an estimate of when these months or when these races are within the month, that will help you plan future races every year when you try to schedule your racing year. So how I like people to do that is like by month, or by season, and then also like maybe categorizing like if they're a priority. And not only races, there's FKTs out there. There are like new distances that you could put. So like, first 100, first 200, first 300, an FKT you want to attempt. And FKTs are a lot easier to schedule because you could do them whenever you want in reality, obviously depending on the weather and other, kind of situations in that aspect. But planning and, doing a list of things that you could potentially go to anytime you're like, I guess I should plan for next year. Let's go back to my hefty list, I think is really, really important. I do it. I know a lot of people that do it. And then, I add to it each time I see a new race or hear about a new race. I just, one of these days I'm probably gonna have all these races put down as things that I want to do in the future. Hopefully not super, super crazy, but we shall see. All right, so now you have this list, and you're like, Liz, what do I do with this list of a whole bunch of races that I want to do? Well, keep it in safe keepings, obviously, but also, each year and each time you attempt to go plan a following year of races, really look at what is a priority. So, a few things. Life happens, and you could maybe realize that 2026 is going to be super, super busy, and you're not going to be able to get in the amount of races that you want to do, or maybe you know that April, May are too busy, you have family stuff going on, and planning a race around that time is not smart. Also keep in mind of how your training will be around that time as well. If you know winters are brutal and you have to spend majority of winters on a treadmill, and you're someone that hates treadmills and cannot stand spending more than a few hours on there, obviously you don't want to have a main race or a priority race, an A race around the end of winter, because there's a potential that you won't have the training that you need done for that. So I always recommend like really taking a huge look and realizing when good races would go, or when you would have time to put races into your calendar and know that you could get the training done for your races. So take an overall look of your calendar, realize what times work best for you and your family, and what you can get in training wise and all of that good stuff, and then realize you need to go back and figure out what are some priority races, some A races that you want. So let's get into prioritizing races. You technically can categorize them in three ways. You have your A race, your B race, and your C race. So what do those three things mean? A races are main priority. I typically, for my athletes, only recommend you have 2 A races. Rarely would I ever suggest to have 3 unless it's someone that is an advanced runner. Only because it is so hard to really put all into one race and multiple races within a year. And honestly, a lot of us are parents and have so much responsibility. We work a full-time job. We have children that we're raising. We have animals that we are taking care of. We have responsibilities. We have, so much going on that we cannot successfully train without causing so much stress to our life, not to mention all of the daily life stress that we have going on. So I recommend 2. That's a personal thing. I know people that have tons of races, but that they have tons of races and they're not all A races. So this is a main priority. It's something that you are training for and you're like super, super pumped for. And that aspect of like, it could be a new distance, it can be a new PR, it could be just a race that you've never done before and you really want to do, like a bucket race list, like Western States or Hard Rock, Badwater, things like that. Or what I like to say are these are races that you could potentially need for like a qualifier into something like Western States or Hard Rock. And you might think like, oh, I don't really like love this race, but maybe there's a race that you have to finish at a certain time in order to be eligible to get said qualification. So that is more or less an A race. It's something that's super, super important. It's something that like you're thriving and driving and you cannot wait to do that race. High priority, making sure that this is most important and you have the time to train for it and that there's a huge why for it, because at the end of the day we need to be driven to do something or we ain't gonna do it. So that's an A race. A B race, I would say it's a little less priority. Obviously it's something that I would say is like semi important. It is a training race and you could use this in preparation for your A race that you have planned in the year. So a lot of times I see people that are like, well, I kind of want to do this but it's not like a huge priority. That is a B race. It is something in preparation for a very important race, or we go back to something of the nature of it being a qualifier for an A race that you want to do eventually down the road. So again, these aren't something that you're going to spend all of your energy going after. It's more of like a training race, training run, and it is in preparation for the A race that you're going to do. In your races that are at considered a B race, these are things that you could go in, and in the run and race you could prioritize testing out nutrition, hydration, your gear, race pace strategy, and or anything that you would want to test for your A race. This is the time to do it. These are the races that you just dial everything in and get yourself ready for your A race. I love, love, love encouraging runners to do it. And I think a lot of times we get that like confidence booster in these B races where we're like, wow, everything went great. I am ready to go. Or we have the complete opposite, which I always hate that happens, but it is a good lesson to learn, is shit hits the fan and we need to readjust. And when that happens, that's when you want to make sure that you plan these B races far enough out that you have enough time to readjust and fix whatever you need to do for your A race. So let's say you have A race that is, 12 weeks out, and you're trying to plan when you would put this B race. It could be anywhere, I would say, from three at the minimum 3 weeks out, which that is like the bare minimum, to anywhere from 5, 6, 7 weeks out. And you may think like, wow, that's kind of far out if you're considering I'm going to use this as a training run. If you have the time that you have a big enough training block that you can get in enough endurance and enough fitness and enough volume, that then you can use that B race as something that is like a training race for you, where you can then attack and continue to train. That is when you would have it farther out. But if you're someone that has a smaller, say, race scheduled training block, then you would want it to be a little closer. And the reason for is if it's further away, you don't have to like stress to quickly build to get to that B race. Say we're going to use easy numbers in this aspect of doing your A race is 100-mile. You've never done a 100-mile before. Maybe you've done a 50K and a 50-miler, and you're going to use a 50-miler for a training run. But you only have like 16 weeks. Now, if you've already run a 50-miler and you're confident in it, then yeah, you could probably squeeze that a little closer, a little further out and be 100% okay. But if you've never ran some distances, you don't want to try to push a 50-miler and then try to cram the rest of training into a smaller block to get to a 100-mile, because there's just so much stress on a runner. So what I recommend is like, if you have the ability to plan it further out and use it as a training race. And then if things go south, you have time to readjust, to replan, to rework on anything that you need to during the foreseen weeks up until the 100-miler. If you plan it a little too close to your 100, you might not have enough time to readjust and fix things that you need to do. That is a big key takeaway for these B races, is to use them to become a better runner, which is what we want. So I love scheduling B races. And I will say this too. Sometimes a B race doesn't actually have to be a race. It can be a mock training long run. It can be a training camp. And that's something you do plan. So you do consider it to be a quote unquote B race. Again, if you are not watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm doing air quotes. It's not actually a race, but we treat it as a race and or a training camp that we're going to use to make you a better runner. And get you just ready, because not everyone can afford and or have the time and the ability to go and do a whole bunch of races. That's 100% okay. You can fit in mock training runs or mock training races and or training camps. I think they're great. I highly encourage them. And then we kind of dive into like what a C race is. So C races are, no offense to the race, it's a low priority. It's a low hanging fruit. We don't care too much about it. I'll be 100% honest. Usually they're shorter distances, and they're just something as like, hey, I don't really want to just go run a long run. I'm going to go tackle this race real quick. A lot of times they're, again, if training for a 100-miler, they're anywhere from as short as a 5K to about a 50K. Typically, C races, I would say, aren't longer distances until you become more advanced as a runner. And then when you are, a advanced runner, and I'm not saying advanced in the sense of like you're an elite runner at any aspect, but more of like a runner, a well-nourished runner. You've been running for a while, your volume is built, you've done a couple longer distances, and you're feeling super confident that you could just go knock out a casual 50K or 50-miler. That would be a C race. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I know people that use 100 miles as C races, and they're just like, hey, I low-key want the belt buckle, and I'm going to go after it. That's 100% okay too. These are people that are obviously well into their running career and have ran plenty of races just to be able to casually go run a 100-mile over the weekend. So C races are honestly like just for fun. You sprinkle them into training whenever. If they are longer distances, obviously be mindful of you're going to be out there for a few hours and or a few days, and then just kind of using them as like something of, I'm just going to go out there and see how this goes. Not in any aspect of I'm going to go out there and use any race strategy. Mind you, if it is a casual 5K, I am never opposed to someone going out and going after it. It is a 5K. I hate to say this because for some people, a 5K is super, super daunting. But for an ultra runner, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you're an ultra runner. is it is somewhere to just go out and see how fast you can run a 5K. I'm always down for it. I think they're fun and nice to throw in there every once in a while. Obviously, within caution to make sure you do not get injured. But these races have no sense of like you taper into them or anything of that nature. And I should have mentioned this before. Like in an A race, you 100% are tapering into. Sometimes B races you taper into. I guess it would depend on like what the race is for and how you're using it. Like if you want to go out and be really, really tired and go and see what it feels like to run a 50K on really, really tired legs, then you technically would not taper into it. And I would also like to preface that sometimes within training, you want to make sure that you schedule them. That way you're using a B race to excel your training. So you wouldn't want to just throw one in there randomly. Typically, you would want to have it if you're doing like a 3-to-1 build in a 4-week build, you would want to have it closer to that deload week. Typically, I would do it and do it so the race happened and then the next week would be a deload week. That way, you're getting well rested after just performing a B race, which in a C race type deal, you don't need to taper. You don't need to have a deload week right after. Sometimes you do, but the best thing is like these are just fun runs. It's a long run that you get a medal for or you get a buckle for or whatever the case may be. It's not anything that is like super planned. And, that's the main structure between A race, B race, and C races. You have a high priority, a low, medium priority, and then the lowest of low priorities. And when planning this, it's best to take, again, the whole year, realize I could probably get 2 A races in, maybe 2 to 3 B races, and then I hate to say this, but as many C races as you can within reason. Now, you may be hearing this and thinking like, wow, that's actually a lot. Or you may be in the complete opposite and thinking, wow, that's actually not too much. And I'm going to be 100% honest. Everyone is different. Everyone has their opinions. I personally like to plan 2 A races, one towards the beginning of the year, one towards the end of the year. And within that, I typically sprinkle 1 to 2, maybe 3 races in there. Smaller races like C races, I never really consider. And if I do them, it's random and last minute, nothing super planned. I'm going to be 100% honest. That's just me. But if it is an A race or a B race, it is 100% planned, 100% planned in order. And I'll give a few examples. So let's go back to last year. I originally, had a 100-miler set, did 100 or 50K, a 50-miler in preparation for my 100-miler. And then long behold, I decided I was going to do a 200 at the end of the year. So my A race, which was Javelina 100, became a B race. And when that happened, I quickly shifted and changed that thought process of like this 100-miler was going to be a race that I was going to go after. And I wanted to get a certain time, even though you should never do that for your first 100-mile distance. We're runners. I'm a coach, but I'm also a runner at the same time. I tell my athletes this all the time. I know all the tricks. I know all the things. I do them myself. I am a freaking runner. But one thing is I switched it. I wasn't going to go after Javelina. I needed to use it as a training race and make sure that I could continue training for my 200 at the end of the year. So that was like, happen on the fly type deal. But then we go to 2025 when I was planning this year. I looked for months to try to find a race in the beginning of the year to use as a fast 50K, 50 miler. And it was something I wanted to be super verdy. Sadly, could not find anything that would work within my schedule, which what happens. And I would be 100% honest, like I'm someone that cruises and paces a lot. So I had honestly a few races at the beginning of the year that I was going to crew and pace, which made it difficult for me to not to be able to plan my races. So a little side tangent. I highly encourage if you are a runner and you prioritize your races first, that's best. Don't be like me that just say, yeah, I'll freaking sign up and I would love to crew and pace you. Mind you, I have no regrets for this year, but it did put a little bit of a stressor in training for my actual races this year. But at the end of the day, I have no regrets and I had so much fun this year. But that led me to find a 50 miler closer to my A race, which was H9, which we all know what happened at H9. We don't have to go there. But I originally planned H9 as a training race. That would have been my B style race. It was a medium priority. I did want to go after it and have a good time. I was going to push that B race, not saying it was priority by any means, but push it a little harder. I was going to go after and see what I could do. And then I had essentially 4 to 5 weeks. And then I was going to go after the Barkley Fall Classic, which didn't happen. But as anyone knows, Barkley Fall Classic was my A race, and then I did actually trickle in some other races that I plan to do at the end of this year, which I will get to later in this podcast about. But I had signed up for a 100 miler, which was Tampa Bay 100. So I originally planned to do A race was going to be Barkley Fall Classic. B races were H9 and Tampa Bay 100. And then I originally was going to do a marathon with my sister at the beginning of the year. And for some reason, I think I got super sick. I can't remember. For some reason, I didn't run it. But that is kind of how my race went, or my race year went. So in all, that's how 2 years of race planning went. Now I'm getting ready to plan for 2026. And honestly, I've been sending out so many emails to my athletes, prepping them, getting them ready. Like, hey, remember, I know it's September and it may feel like, oh, gosh, we have so much time left. But in reality, we're going to be here before we know it. The new year is soon coming, which is crazy to think. And right now, I feel like races are selling out like crazy. So plan ahead of time, which is why I was like, you know what? Let me record a podcast and share all things about the race planning and race scheduling and how to do it, because I'm sharing this with my team and all of the athletes that I have. And I was like, this would be really smart to continue to do this for the podcast and share it with everyone to give them as many tips and tricks as possible. So that is why I'm recording this. And I was like, you know what? Let's go over everything. I'll give some examples. So now I'm getting ready to plan 2026. And I've had a little falter in life where I'm not 100% sure at the beginning of the year I can race. So I'm trying to figure out what and how I'm going to handle that. But no matter what, I'm going to plan the end of my 2026. I have a few races in mind. I have my list of races that I want to do, and I will dial in everything as I can and then go back and reattack the beginning of 2026 once, I'd say, like in a month or so, when I have some more answers about my ankle, and which is the topic we'll get to later. I know I keep leaving everyone hanging, but I figured I would get over all of the good data, all of the stuff about how to plan for a race, and then go into my life circumstances. But the reason I encourage so many people to do this is to plan things out. That way you can see if your schedule can fit with the races that you want to do. Because if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. We're runners. We're going to be doing this for years. We can plan it on different years. So do not fret if for some reason you just can't make the weekend of the 27th on April work. You can maybe try for next year. Or you can start trickling in and telling your partner like, hey, I'm really thinking about doing this race, but it kind of falls on our anniversary. So maybe not this year, but maybe next year, or, whatever the case may be. But another main priority is to avoid burnout. And it's something that I feel like so many people are having happen right now, because we are ultra runners and we are so obsessed and we get so, I need to do all these races, right? The reality is we have plenty of time. The races are not going anywhere, hopefully. And don't try to fit in so much all at once. Take the time, plan a few for a year, and then you can do the same thing next year and the same thing next year and the same thing year after that. So doing this is really, really great. And something I also want to stress, and I've literally just sent an email out, and it is explaining on how to plan races, but also realize like sometimes that's really nice just to have a huge training block where you're out there prepping. Maybe you want to get faster. Maybe you want to attack some vert. Maybe you want to practice, I don't even know. Maybe you need to get stronger. Maybe you need to go lift and get stronger, become a stronger runner. I literally did that this year because I couldn't find a race that I wanted to earlier in the year. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the summer and try to strength train a little bit more. I had a lot of personal things I wanted to work on outside of running, believe it or not. And I also wanted to really work on some vert. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't focus on trying to fit in a whole bunch of races. I just took the time to get the personal things done, to run tons and tons of miles on a treadmill, and then also to just become a little bit of a stronger runner. I worked a lot of lower body. So it's okay to not have a race in mind and just be training. I feel like we as runners get so obsessed with like, I need to get this belt buckle, I need to get this belt, or I need to get this medal, or, whatever this accomplishment is. But do not hesitate to take a step back and just be like, I need to focus on training and I want to work on A, B, and C. Do that. It's completely okay. And I just think we get so high strung on performing at these races that we forget that sometimes we just need to take breaks and actually like train. So the biggest thing I think that we should just focus on is doing what we really want to do in life. And if that's training specifically and working on certain, tactics or whatever the case may be, or if it is knocking out a whole bunch of races, do that. And if you have questions or concerns or anything, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can reach me on social media, on Instagram, it's Liz Myers. You can out to me on a coaching call, or if you want to have a coach, reach out. At the Everyday Ultra, we are always taking new athletes. I am currently taking athletes. Yes, I'm taking a few athletes. So if you are looking to be coached by me, please let me know, reach out. Or you want to be trained by the Everyday Ultra, do not hesitate to reach out. I will hook you up with someone. I can help you, and we can plan a year of training and get you ready to go for 2026 and 2027 and 2028, all the good years to come. So before I get into all of the nitty gritty about my personal life, do not forget, there's plenty of years to come in training. Don't stress on trying to fit in as much as possible, and know that it's okay if you don't want to schedule an actual race and you just want to train and get a little better as a runner. All of those things are 100% okay. And this is plenty of things to help you plan your next year of training and racing. And I hope it has helped you in so many ways. So if you have any questions, again, please do not hesitate to reach out. And if you don't care to hear about my daily life update, you do not have to listen. Thank you so much for listening. But if you're going to hang out and listen, what has been going on recently? I know I've been very MIA on social media, and honestly, I have just been a miserable son of a bitch. I'm not going to lie. And it is really hard being a coach and being around all of these amazing runners, not only my athletes, but all of the coaches on the Everyday Ultra team, not to mention everyone that is friends on social media, seeing all of the racing going on, and just, realizing as of right now, it is looking like my 2025 year of running is slowly coming to an end. And what I mean by that is, as of right now, I am not running. So if you do follow me on Strava, you may have seen I've been working out quite a bit and hitting the bike a little bit. Mind you, I rode the bike at the gym for an hour the other day, and my butt is so sore. So saddle ass is a real thing, and I forgot, I need to get back in the bike just to reintroduce the butt pain that I'm going to deal. But Barkley Fall Classic just literally happened. And thank you for anyone that has reached out and just wanted to say, I'm here, and I know you're not out there running and you wanted to be running, and I hope you're doing well. So I greatly appreciate the few people that have reached out. It truly, truly means a lot. And it's a weird feeling to feel. And I'm going to be 100% honest. Last week was really, really tough. And this is the second recording. I've actually mashed these two recordings together to give you guys a wonderful episode. But it was weird over the weekend to experience the Barkley Fall Classic going on and me literally being sad, sorrow, and just miserable all in one day. And honestly, for the past few days. So Tuesday, I was out walking my dogs. I think it was Tuesday last week. Out walking the dogs, getting ready to go for a run. I wanted to tire them out first. So I get walking down the street, not even, I would say, 0.10 away from the house. And I re-rolled my ankle on a freaking acorn. Fell down. Worst pain. I always say this, worst pain ever. But the pain was immediate. It was sharp. I could barely put any weight on my ankle. Had to limp myself back home with two dogs that are ready to go for a run and or walk, and just was really, really, really struggling, to be 100% honest. So got back in the house, laid down, put the leg up, looked down, instant. There was a huge ball on the side of my foot with a little bruising around the bottom of my ankle. Honestly, I will be 100% honest. I've told a few people this, but it happened and hurt so fast, so intensely. I almost had tears come out of my eyes. I was in so much pain. So trying to reassess, trying to figure things out, instantly tried to move the ankle a little bit, super, super uncomfortable. I did manage to walk home okay and limped my way home. But anytime I would stand on my foot, I had so much pain around the bottom of my ankle. And it's when I say it's my heel, everyone thinks it's my Achilles. It was more of the around the arch, top part of the heel around that arch area. And I honestly thought maybe I had broken my ankle, which is crazy to think because I literally just rolled it on an acorn, but I was in so much pain that I'm like, what the heck is going on? So had a few discussions with myself, reached out to a few different people, and decided, Liz, I think it's time for you to go get an x-ray. So I did go get an x-ray, and it is not broken, which is awesome. Really, really good. at the same time, I half wish it was just broken because then I would be forced to take a break. But I have talked to a few PTs, very run specific PTs, and I have a PT appointment coming up. Sadly, the few people I've talked to, either super, super busy or just not close enough. And I have said this multiple times, but I've gone to PTs in the sense of like talking to people. I've never had my ankle fully examined. And the one PT I did see wasn't a like running specific PT and was just kind of like, yeah, you sprained your ankle. Like, just rest up and do some ankle exercises. So I am going to a specific runner and or like exercise, someone very knowledgeable about fitness and or ankle specialist, I'd say. And I'm getting my shit checked out because I am so tired of this and I'm just so disappointed in everything that has been going on. So essentially back at zero. And the few people that I've talked to, everyone has told me I need to be off the ankle. I need to wear something supportive. And I've also been told I need to wear crutches. And if you are listening to this and you've told me that I need to wear crutches, I'm so sorry to say I have not been wearing crutches or using crutches, but I am finally walking without a really bad limp, which is a great thing. But I have been wearing something to protect and support my ankle, which is not the norm for me. And I have not been walking, which is another unusual thing for me. But I am taking this very seriously and I am ready to do all and everything I need to do for the ankle. So once I get it fully examined, I will continue going to a PT for a few months to get it back in action. And what that may look like, to be 100% honest, I'm not truly sure. What I assume is it'll be a full week or two of no running, which it has almost been a week. And it will be very minimal running when I get back to running. So a few of the PTs that I have talked to, they straight up said like, listen, I'm a big advocate on running when you have no pain. I do not have no pain. And so I cannot run right now. But when the time comes, I'm sure it's going to be easy runs, super chill, nothing crazy. And hopefully getting myself back in, just I miss running and I hate biking right now because I have to do it, but it's a weird feeling to be in because like I literally just rolled my ankle and I'm going to assume I tore some ligaments. Everyone says when you see bruising, it means you tore some ligaments, and I re-bruised after just rolling it on the acorn, which makes me wonder if I retore something or if like the initial tearing from H9 is just like that angry. And people may be hearing this and being like, oh, like I roll my ankle on acorns all the time, like or down the street, and I am literally that person. I do it all the time, but I've never had it to be this severe. So which knew to me that I was not doing something smart. So I'm going to reassess and I'm going to do everything and anything I can, which is why I'm going to go to a PT as always. And I want someone to touch it. I want someone to feel it. I want someone to do all of the things. I can do all of the exercises at home. I can strength train. I can do all of the banded work and all, A, B, and C, D. But what I can't do is manipulate, do dry needling. I can't do cupping, all that good stuff. And I'm not saying that's exactly what I need, but I genuinely need someone that has way more knowledge than I do to attack this and help me overcome it a lot quicker. The few people that I have talked to have talked about having potential weaknesses in my hips and or knees, which is causing me to roll my ankle so much. Definitely think that could be a thing. And they have also mentioned that, which is kind of funny to think about, but that this ankle was sprained and it could be a chronic sprain or something of a severe sprain. And now it's to the point that it's so bad that it's such an instability injury that I really need to be careful and take the next steps very seriously. So I'm officially going to have to drop out of another race, which will be Tampa Bay 100. And I will probably have to drop out of long haul, which is very upsetting for me because I was super excited for it. I'm not saying long haul is out of the question yet, but I also am to the point now where I need to prioritize getting this ankle back to normal, and potentially running 100 miles in January is probably not the smartest thing. So once I see my PT and give it a few weeks of, exercises, rehab, I will reassess and figure out what is the best protocol and what things are going to look like. But I figured I would start to share this journey and start to just be truthful and honest and, go through each and every step. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have not been putting up training videos because your girl is not training. I have been in a horrible low, and this week was really, really rough. But I will say, I was at the gym Saturday riding the bike, and it just like really, really smacked me in the face. Like, I'm being so miserable. I'm being so annoying to my own damn self that I needed to switch this. So I like had a few moments with myself and really realized like I can continue to be miserable and hate my life. Not saying I hate my life, but like miserable, hate my life, and continue just digging in this hole and becoming more angrier and upset, or I can fucking do something about it. So, in reality, I'm not someone to just like, oh, woe is me. And I was being a woe is me person. So I looked at myself and was like, listen, what do you really want right now? And obviously I want to run. Well, you can't do that. So what can I do? Well, I can bike. I can, do the row. I can do the row machine. I can lift. And hopefully soon I'll be walking. So, with that being said, I'm going to do everything and anything I can to become a, better person, obviously. But like, I want to become a stronger person. I want to become stronger, definitely in my legs and upper body. I used to strength train all of the time. It was my only obsession at the time is strength training, and I lost a lot of that. And so now it's swole time, baby. It is swole time. I keep saying no, I'm just kidding. But I really want to focus on getting stronger. Honestly, just getting back into lifting, seriously lifting, programming my lifting, like getting not only strong in the sense of like I want to lift heavy things, but I really don't. Honestly, I'm a little too old for that. I hate to say it, and I do notice like my joints are killing me at certain times. So I just want to put on a decent amount of muscle, kind of tone up a little bit, which is crazy to think because everyone's like, oh, Liz, you're a skinny runner. Like, no, I don't want to be a skinny runner. I want to be a fit runner. So I'm going to focus on getting stronger to gain some muscle and just become, a better person, become, get to do something I love and have always loved and just really put a lot of time and effort into that. I will bike. I still need to get my cardio in. I think it's like a mental thing now. I just want that time to just chill and be cruising. I cannot ride my bicycle right now outside because I cannot clip in and out of my bikes, my pedals for my bike. So I have to ride a bike at the gym, which kind of sucks. But for now, it just is what it is. Hopefully soon I'll be out walking. I'll be out, riding my bicycle and eventually getting in some shorter runs. But for the time being, that's going to be my life. I'm going to focus on strength training and prioritizing recovery, PT work out the yin yang, mobility. I'm going to do all the things. Maybe I'm going to learn how to do a handstand because back in the day, I've always wanted to learn how to do a handstand, and your girl has no clue. So just really focusing on what I can do right now. It's the only thing I can do because if I dwell on how much I cannot run, I'm just going to hate my life completely. So I am here to start getting fitter. I mean, I want to get jacked. I'm going to get swole. No, I'm just kidding. But I really do want to get fit. I want to prioritize my nutrition and my hydration and just becoming a better human in not only like the running world in the sense of fitness. Like I just want to feel better. I want to be better. I've been spending a lot more time reading and just focusing on giving better content, getting in some good YouTube videos, and it's not going to be training videos right now. Maybe I'll do like a monthly update of like how things are going, but I want to start educating and helping as many people as possible through YouTube, through the podcast, through social media. So as always, thank you guys so much for listening to my little woe is me ending portion of this video, and thank you all for all the love and support. As always, do not hesitate to reach out with any questions. I am here to help and encourage you, and don't forget to share this episode with your friends, to share the podcast and the YouTube so we can grow and form this amazing tribe of runners. So thank you all for listening, and I will see you in the next one.